Good evening, my family. Tonight we're going to actually be in the kitchen, and I am going to make a full-fledged Mediterranean dish from the main meal even to the sides so that you could see what a full Mediterranean meal looks like. We're going to be using the Mediterranean Dishes Cookbook, y'all. We're going to be actually making some shrimp kofta, some farro, and some Caesar salad kale for supper tonight. And let me fix this phone because I'm going to explain to you what's coming up next week and how it's actually going to benefit us. Okay, my family. I'm so sorry about that. I also had to get my tea. I am actually drinking ginger honey tea, and it just sounded so good right now, so. Alright, so what's coming up next week? At our church, they have a thing called Seek Week. What that basically means is anything that distracts us with the outside world, which basically the biggest portion that distracts pretty much all of us is media, electronics, whether that be our TV sets, our phones, things that would just distract us from what we're meant to do. So I am actually going to take that challenge. However, I did speak to some folks that I'm going through discipleship classes with, by the way, as well, which is going to be a really good part of my healing process from a bunch of stuff, y'all, that I had grown up with, or not even just grown up with, things that I have had in my life. Some of you already heard my testimonies, and I am actually going through a course that's going to help me to heal so that I could be the person to give my all in the areas that I should be in life without feeling that I'm not good enough. Anyways, so I had asked the discussion because I let them all know that actually I have a family on YouTube. And the one thing I will be able to do, y'all, is still spend some time with you as I just make my videos. And as long as I'm not scrolling through YouTube, basically watching movies, you get the point, playing games, these are the things that distract us the most. So being here with you is not part of that. However, it's also going to give me a fantastic opportunity to go ahead and start bringing these books instead of scrolling all through the multimedia and online. Grab these books that I had purchased, go through them, and actually make the meals from every cookbook of the Mediterranean that I have. I also have 2 more coming that actually falls in the Mediterranean. But I want to, this is going to fall into another area where I'm going to be forming a group. And let's just say, y'all, I definitely know that this is my calling, and the new cookbooks that are coming are much, much different than these. So I'm going to go through that as well. But these here are going to be used quite often for the week. And I think this is great that I'm taking this opportunity to do that, because there is no sense to take something amazing and just let it sit on the shelf. I can't do that. So I am taking that challenge, and I'm actually starting today to know that I need to get into these. So the shrimp kofta is coming out of this book that I got from Susie from the Mediterranean Dish. I will let you know which cookbooks that I am using, which page that I have, and we'll let you know how they taste, whether we like them or not. So first I am going to do is we have to make farro. Farro, I have taught you, was a grain. There are 3 different types of farros. One is the einkorn, which is, these are all whole grain, y'all, but they're categoried different by size. So farro einkorn is small. Then there is farro emmer. That is a medium grain. And finally, grande or farro spelt is large. We are actually going to use the farro emmer, which is a medium grain. It can replace rice. It can replace pasta. It can replace brown rice, wild rice. It can replace so many dishes, including quinoa. Now I'm going to show you the difference of two types of farro though. And I do believe I've spoke to y'all about the grain. What I didn't speak to you about was the multiple ways that they do. And I'm going to give you an up close personal look at the difference. This farro is the whole grain with everything on it. It is tight knit. It is not even ever hit water. Actually, this was taken straight from the wheat fields. That means that this has the germ, it has the fiber, it has everything, the bran, it has everything. It's never been touched yet. Where this farro is called pearled. This has been pre-cooked. Now what would be the difference? This has benefits, but less than this one does. And the reason for that is when the one at the bottom here, this one that is pearled, this one was pre-cooked, which means the fiber, germ, all of that was removed pretty much. And they processed it as a pre-cook, so when you cook this, it's not going to take but maybe 10 minutes. Where this is going to take at least 30 minutes to 45 because it's got to penetrate every aspect of that grain. This one has already been pre-done, so you don't have to do all that. So pearled means less time cooking, but less nutrients, and vitamins, and fiber. Where this is more cooking time, but you get absolutely everything. Me, I prefer to use the whole grain with everything in it, but if I was in a pinch, I would use the pearled. So I'm going to show you how to make it from the whole grain, but you're more than welcome if you do not have accessibility to the whole grain, which you could find online. I believe at some of the grain places there's several different types. You can look up emmer, whole grain emmer online, and I think you might be able to find a small portion of it on Amazon. But I do know that you can, if you really wanted to, look up farro. 95% of the time you're going to get it pearled. So there is that option as well. So we're going to go to the kitchen. We're going to let this cook, and in the meantime, while this is cooking, we're going to go to the shrimp kofta and show you how to make this, and then we'll go to the salad till we prepare our entire meal for the night. So if y'all are ready, let's go to the kitchen and let's make this amazing Mediterranean dish together. Okay, y'all, so this is up close shots that I'm going to do my best to show you the difference between this is the pearled, and if you could see, let's see if I can bring this up closer to you. There we go. See how puffed up, almost like puff rice, actually. This has been pre-cooked, but it also has the germ and the bran removed from it. So you lose part of your nutrients with this one. And then it's been actually re-dried so that when you cook this, it takes far less time. Versus, y'all, let's go back here, this one right here. Do you see how tight the grain is on this? I mean, it's just the difference. Look at the coating difference even. You see how much, let's see, hang on a second. Okay, y'all. So this is the pearled, which you can see much different size portions or size in this from the cooked to the non-cooked. Now, when this is completely finished, I will be showing you exactly what it looks like fully cooked. This is where both of these would look like in the final process of it. But I wanted to show you the difference between a pearled and a straight wheat berry untouched. So these are the difference. You can get either or, but just know if you get the pearled, you're not going to get the full effects as I'm going to get, sorry y'all, on this one here. We'll be back. Okay, so to start with our cooking process, now this one here, like I said, it's going to take anywhere from a half hour to 45 minutes to cook. We need 1 cup. Now, the reason I do 1 cup is simply because I actually freeze some of this. So, otherwise, it's about a 1/4 cup per serving. So I'm going to take my 1 cup of grain and I am going to rinse this really, really well. Once I rinse this, we'll come back and I'm going to show you how to cook this. Set all that aside while we go on to our next one, because this is going to take a while. So we're going to go take our grains and we're going to go wash these off really good. Okay, y'all, now that we've got our emmer washed, I'm going to add this to the pot. Make sure I get all of my grains in here. Now, the general rule for this, to know how much water it is for 1 cup, 1 cup of emmer equals, it's a 1 to 3 ratio. So that would mean 1 cup of emmer wheat to 3 cups of water. Now I'm going to put this, cook this on the stove, bring this up to a boil, just like we would rice. Once it gets up to a boil, we'll be right back and I'll show you what we're going to do next. Okay, y'all, so now that I've got this up to a boil, I'm going to turn this on low. We're going to cover it with a lid, and I'm going to let this cook until it is cooked all the way through and hardly no water is left. And as soon as I find my lid, it will be going on top of this. I had to show you, y'all, a sweet, cute little idea that I had ran into. I had to go buy something that was kind of important to Mr. James today, and I had found something that was quite awesome. So at church, I told you that we are doing discipleship classes. At the end of our classes, which I think is really sweet of our church to do what they do, there's refreshments, and usually it's sweet tea and cookies. Now, you all know us, and you know Mr. James is type 2, and well, cookies and sweet tea just isn't going to cut it. So, we don't complain. We do something about it. So, for my first time I brought in some snacks, and I could bake our own, actually, and bring those. But for me, I didn't really bake. I brought actually some homemade pita chips and some hummus. I had a little bit of cheese cubes. So I made a charcuterie, and it gave me an idea. When I had to actually go buy a new alarm clock this morning, and I walked past this box, and it just stopped me in my tracks and said, grab me. Actually, grab 2, one for me and one for Mr. James. I'm not promoting this. You know I'm not being sponsored by this. I think this is a fantastic idea. If you are in a position where you have a meeting somewhere, or you have some kind of family outing, or even a picnic, or whatever you're doing in life, if you need something on the go, if you need something different than what everybody else is doing, let me give you an idea or a couple ideas with this lifestyle, the Mediterranean lifestyle. Instead of us eating sweet cookies that we're not technically able to eat, or drink the sweet tea, we will bring our own drink, first of all. Second of all, I will bake my own cookies, or I will make my own charcuterie box. Now, what this is, y'all, it's they have these at Walmart right now out for a little over $9, not much at all. And there's 8 separate compartments. Check this out. So, when you open up your box, your lid, this comes off, and you have these 8 individual lids inside of it. Each of these lids, or each of these little cubes, actually have containers that you can fill. Can you imagine hummus in here or even pita chips in this? Cover it back up. Pop it in your box. Just like so. Put it back in your box. Put your lid on top. Well, it helps if I put it on the right way. Put your lid on top. Seal it closed. You can put it in your cooler. You can just carry it like it is. Lift up the 2 rings and you have a little carrying box. Y'all, I thought this was absolutely adorable. It gave me several ideas. So if I'm going to somebody's house and I know that they're going to do things differently from us, I can make me and hubby a bunch of different finger foods, put them up in both of these boxes if I have to, and we have things for us. I no longer complain. I'm a problem solver, not a problem maker. Okay, y'all, so we're going to start doing our shrimp kofta. We're going to put our mix together, and we're going to start with quartered 1 small onion. You do know that I also go ahead and add these recipes in the description box below, but I also like to tell you as I go along in case you're taking notes with me. So for those who don't want to look for the description box, I try to make it easy as I can for you. So you're going to need this onion quartered inside of this processor. Okay. I'm going to add the rest of this to it. Alright, there's our onion. You're going to need 4 large cloves of garlic. Now these are exceptionally large. I'm also going to take out that bitter center like I've taught y'all. The reason for it is it just makes our garlic taste a lot better. So I'm going to cut this in pieces. I have a couple more over here. I know a lot of my mise en place is not ready, y'all, but I don't think you mind spending reality in my kitchen with me because I don't always have time for mise en place, which means being prepared before the video. A lot of times it's just to feel like I'm sitting with somebody. I like watching. Some people don't, I guess. They like it all prepared and everything right there and done, and you're on your way. But some of us, I just like to spend time because there's just something calming about it, I guess. So, I don't know, maybe I'm just different. Alright, I'm just going to go ahead and pull these out. And it comes out super easy, y'all. I mean, you can pretty much see right there in that center and see how that just peels right out. So, alright, one more piece. These are like gigantic cloves, really. So I don't exactly have 4 because of this, because these are super gigantic as it is. Matter of fact, I might not use all of this piece. I may use it in something else actually. So I'm going to cut this one in half, and then I'm just going to use half of it. Pull out my centerpiece just like so. Yeah, that's it. And then break this down. There we go. Now the next ingredient is we need a 1/2 cup of dill fronds. I don't have any dill fronds, so I am actually using dry dill, and I'm probably going to use approximately 1 tablespoon of dill in here. It doesn't really give an example if you use dried, but sometimes you just have no other choice. So I'm going to use about anywhere from, I'll add a tablespoon. Dill is dill. It ain't going to hurt nothing, really. We got a lot of this pungent garlic. So I need kosher salt and ground pepper. So I'm going to go ahead and use, there is actually no amount, so we're just going to go ahead and sprinkle a little bit. That's maybe about a 1/2 teaspoon of salt and pepper in this mix. All right, we need 1 teaspoon of ground coriander. There's my ground coriander. I need a half a teaspoon of Aleppo pepper. Y'all know that, or if you don't know, kofta is considered like a meat ball form. You either put it on a, it's about a half a teaspoon of Aleppo. You put it on a stick and you could grill it like that or whatever. It's just actually a ball of meat. Kofta means that ball of meat, basically. We need a half a teaspoon of sweet paprika or Spanish paprika. Add that. And we need a half a teaspoon of ground cumin. And that's our flavoring. So at this moment, we're going to take our lid and place it on top, which I need to go get, so hang on a second. In my defense, I did forewarn you, I don't have it all together this evening. So I'm going to turn this on and pulse it right quick. Now we are going to add 1 pound of cleaned and deveined shrimp, and I'm just going to go ahead and add these in here, and we're going to pulse all of this together until it forms a well ground up meat. So once I get this all done, we will be back and I'll show you what it's supposed to look like. Make sure while you're doing this, you want to scrape down the sides because it does tend to climb the walls. Also, to let you know, no, this is not Walmart brand shrimp. I do have mine wild caught from the Gulf, or I have a private place where I purchase my shrimp from. And this is actually some red shrimp, which we love the flavors to that. So I thought I'd inform you on this. Okay, y'all, so I have this done, but there was one thing I did forget to add to my processor, so I am actually going to take this very finely, as small as I can, and add some chopped parsley, because I need about 1 cup of parsley mixed in this as well. Also, I'm going to have some on the side to sprinkle on top when we're done. Now, what is another name for how do we simplify this? Well, like my husband did the other night, I have to tell you guys a short, quick story. I made what was called chicken schnitzel. Y'all, when I asked him to test it and see what he thought, he said, "What's the name of this?" And I said, "Well, it's schnitzel. Wiener schnitzel, actually, but it was made out of chicken." He said, "Oh, so you mean fried chicken?" I just stood there and looked at him, y'all. So, for those who are like my husband and you wonder, what the heck is a kofta? Another simple frame that we're going to call these is shrimp meatballs. I have done this with salmon before too, and it was really good. And we can't say that we're ruining salmon by doing this, because we actually make salmon patties, so it's basically the same thing. Now, I have minced up this parsley really well, and we're actually going to add this into our dish. So, hang on, y'all. Okay, I like one quick sweep. So I just sweep it up and pop it in my, I love these things. These things are amazing and they work perfectly. So I just chop and go. Now we are going to add 1 tablespoon of chickpea flour. This is going to be our bounder. So those who do not want to use chickpea flour, I can understand that. You could use any flour you want. The recipe, however, to make it cleaner, uses a chickpea flour. So this is perfect also for those who are gluten-free. There is another option for you. So I'm just actually going to sprinkle chickpea flour all up in my mix. That's going to be our binder, along with 1 egg. I'm going to go put this back in the freezer and we'll be right back because I don't like losing the nutrients. This is fresh milled. Okay, and now we need 1 large egg. And of course, you know it's going to come from my own farm, y'all. Now we're going to mix this all together until it forms, or until it's all incorporated well. Then I'm going to prepare the pan because we are going to fry these up in a pan with a neutral oil. I will be using olive oil. You can use sunflower oil, coconut oil, avocado, whatever you choose. They just recommend a very neutral, basically, so I just like the effects of olive oil. And I do have sunflower oil, but I don't use it as often. Alright, that's pretty much it right there, y'all. This is all incorporated quite well. So now I'm going to get our pan ready and get our oil done and show you what we're going to do here. This is going to come out so cool, y'all. In the meantime, our emmer is just about cooked, so we'll check on that here in a little bit too. Okay, y'all, so I got to take a brief moment. You know what? You're just going to be in this kitchen and me with my everyday lifestyle. I had to take a break because I have, gosh almighty, look how beautiful. Look at that beautiful sourdough. Oh, sourdough starter. I have some pita bread, some sourdough pita bread I'm wanting to make. So I have to make what's called a levain out of this. This is going to be the sourdough that I am going to make. It looks like probably in the morning. So, yeah, that's going to hurt. No, you know what? I'm actually going to make up my dough using this. So it's going to be okay. I don't have time to do the levain, so we're just going to use this. I have plenty. I need 120 grams. I know I have plenty, plus enough to refeed this baby. So I may do that with you as well. Told y'all it's chaotic in my kitchen when I know I have so much to do. The reason I am thinking twice about this is the fact is this is a cold fermentation, which means it's going to be sitting in my refrigerator overnight. And I have several sessions of stretch and folds. So I think I'm just going to use what I have. So back to our regular program. All right, y'all. So you want to know when your farro is actually finished. Now mine did not absorb all this water, which is okay. I can strain it. But I want to show you what it looks like. Now you've seen it prior before we cooked it, how tight it was. Now I want you to see, look how fluffy, if you can being able to see that. But it's puffed up. Now this is really hot. I don't know if you can see that, but it'll basically squish like so, as you see here. It's flattened. It has a bite, kind of like al dente pasta. So this is perfectly cooked and ready to strain and use it for our dish. So I'm going to take this off the heat right now. I will get this strained here in a bit. And we know our farro is now finished. So I'm going to actually switch this pan over here so that we can see it better. And I'm going to heat my oil for our shrimp kofta. And at this point, we shall be right back. Okay, y'all, so this is definitely ready to start. So we need approximately 2 tablespoons. I'm using actually a cookie baller here. So I'm just approximately measuring out 2 tablespoons. It's not perfect. It may even be 1 tablespoon. One thing I will tell you about the Mediterranean, their meatball sizes are definitely not our meatball sizes. We tend to have something that looks more like a golf ball or sometimes even a baseball. But theirs are really tiny. So I've learned to cut down on the size of what our meatballs typically are here. And I actually enjoy it, especially when I make Italian wedding soup. I just happen to like that bite size, and I get why they do that. It's kind of cool. Even in my spaghetti, I love that small, tiny bites. So basically, this is all we're doing. We're going to take about 2 tablespoons and make little meatballs out of these. Fry them up until they were thoroughly cooked. Then we are going to strain them on a paper towel and move on to our next dish. Our next dish then will be a nice autumn-based farro dish, and we will be making that as soon as all of these are finished. Okay, y'all, so I have never made shrimp kofta before. I had one. Aw, it fell apart. So it's the sacrifice. So we're going to go ahead and try this and see how it tastes, and I'll let you know if we like it or not too. You got that sweetness from the shrimp, and that could be because of the type of shrimp that I have is the red shrimp. Oh, this is good. I can taste the earthy flavors of the cumin, the coriander. It almost has that Middle Eastern flavor to it. And then you would get that kick, that bite of that slight heat due to the Aleppo pepper. If you do not have Aleppo, you could use cayenne pepper or red chili, preferably probably red chili flakes. So, yes, this would work. Now, for me, because I did fresh mill my chickpea flour, I probably would wait a little bit before I made my meatballs and let that flour absorb any liquids to help bind it better. I think that's what my problem was. I don't think I would suggest to add any more to it if you are using chickpea flour, especially if you're using commercial grade. I think mine just, they still formed a ball, but I noticed that those that sat a little longer formed a whole lot better. So if you're fresh milling this, please know, just let it sit for about 10 minutes or 5 to 10 minutes and let it absorb, because it'll help hold and bind a little better. But other than that, y'all, this is amazing. Now we're going to go ahead and do our farro. One thing you do need to know, this recipe calls for 1 cup of uncooked farro. When you cook this, y'all, this recipe is going to make 3 cups, approximately 3 cups of cooked farro. So this is going to make quite a bit. So if you're a big family, this will be perfect. If you are not, and you are a small family like we are, you might want to, like I'm fixing to do, cut the recipe in half. But naturally, I always give you the full recipe. So we're going to go ahead and make our farro. It's a fall type, and we're going to make an anti-inflammatory curry dressing to go on that, which is going to be so amazing to go with the shrimp. With this meal on top of this, if you wanted to, you can do a side salad. For us though, I think I'm just going to use home-canned, homegrown green beans, and this ought to be perfect enough for us. I mean, we'll have our greens, which is our farro mix. We're going to have our protein, which is going to be our shrimp kofta, and then I think we're just going to have some good old green beans. Okay, y'all, we're going to start with our dressing first, because we're going to set this aside in the refrigerator while we make up our salad, basically, or farro. We need 1/4 cup of olive oil. I need 2 tablespoons of white wine vinegar, which has an amazing flavor, by the way. Yes, my mise en place got a little bit better right now. Not perfect, though, because I could have had this already portioned out. There's 1. And there's 2. We need 1 tablespoon of granulated sugar. Y'all, you use the sugar you would like. I'm just using substitute because we don't do sugar or granulated. You can use raw if you want to. I need 1 1/2 teaspoons of curry powder. And this is what I love about curry, because it is an anti-inflammatory. So if you have inflammatory issues from stress or whatever, this is going to be really helpful as well. So there's my half, and then my one. There we go. I need a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And an 1/8 teaspoon of pepper. There's my salt. I think I'm just going to use freshly ground black pepper. One-quarter cup. Now we are going to take this and we're going to whisk it really good. Blend in all of these flavors. Right, so you know I'm going to try this, y'all. I am making food I have never made before, so you know I do this with you all the time, and 95% of the time it comes out amazing. And if at any point, I will be honest with you, if at any point this becomes not so good, you will be the first to know, because I don't like to eat food nor present it to anybody. So, and I have had some flops. So matter of fact, I've made videos, get halfway through it, and literally toss the video out and start over. Some of those pauses, y'all, is because I had to trash the video because the food was just Alright, let's see how this tastes. Ooh, that's going to be good with farro. Alright, let me go put this aside and put this away, and we're going to put our farro together. Oh my gosh, that's going to be good. Okay, y'all, so this recipe calls for 1 cup of uncooked farro. Now remember, I did tell you that 1 cup will equal approximately 3 cups. So if you got a big family, this is going to be perfect for you. But if it's not, please have the recipe. I am doing that right now. I am approximately using 1.5 cups of farro because I'm also making enough for hubby's for lunch tomorrow. So I need, at this point, I have 1.5 cups of cooked farro. I need 1 cup of red onions chopped fine. This helps bring out the coloring because we have a neutral, basically earthy based grain. So, and I love the fact that I'm using whole grains. It brings me pretty much back to nature itself and not processed from a factory. I love the fact that I went and got these ancient grains because this just connects me so much closer to the earth, y'all. I know that sounds strange, but if you knew what that meant to your body, you would understand how I just said that. Alright, now, I am using about 1/2 cup, so yeah, I'm having my recipe. And I am finely mincing my onions. Alright, y'all, there's our onions. Oh, beautiful colors. Okay, next we need some parsley. Freshly chopped parsley. We do not use the stems this time. We need about 1/4 cup of this. So that means I need even less. Mine is just tablespoons. Pop my leaves back in here who want to pop out. You see how beautiful, y'all? I had showed you this. Now it has been almost 4 days in the refrigerator, and do you see how beautiful crisp these still look? Vibrant colors, and they're amazing. They're not lifeless. So I absolutely love now preserving my beautiful herbs, fresh herbs basically, in the refrigerator now, and glass works amazing. I don't know what it does, but it just works amazing. So don't use those plastic bags if you're buying this from the store. Just saying. Now again, we're going to make this little pillow. And we're going to finely chop our parsley. Like so. And like I said, we are not using the stems this time, so we're going to remove those. Most foods, the stems are pretty nutritious and they work well at adding and boosting more flavor. This, it won't work for us. So now we're going to add our parsley to our dish, just like so. No, I should be just using my scraper, y'all. It just makes it so much easier, and it's safer than me using my knife. There we go. So now there's my parsley. Now I need to get a half a cup of pecans, but if you're like me and don't have any pecans, you will use walnuts. Use whatever you prefer, y'all. Just make this on that point your own. I really don't have any pecans. I need to get some because I would like to make some sourdough granola. I would love to try that with my discard, and I will be doing that along with some sourdough crackers. I found some new recipes I want to use. I want to incorporate as much of my sourdough as possible. So we are pretty much just whole. We're not doing, you don't want to make this tiny bits or nothing like that. You just want a good bite. They say to chop this finely, but to me, I don't know. It's just, break them up in small pieces at least. I'll go ahead and chop the rest of these up, especially if they're super big like these. So I'll just go ahead and get a couple of these, do that, and then we'll add it to our salad. Just want to make sure I don't go shooting nuts across the room. I've done that before. They became little missiles at that point. Okay, that's good enough. I don't know. I'm type of person, you might like it fine. If you do, you can run that through a small food processor actually. I just want to leave just a little bit of a bite. These are so good. Now you need 1 cup of dried cranberries. I am actually using organic cranberries, not sugared. Like some of them, you'll find them in the grocery store and they are coated with sugar or less sugar. These are actually done with all natural apple juice. However, they are still sweetened, so I will not be using a whole lot of these at all, because technically Mr. James can't have this. So he'll be picking his out. Now I'm just going to mix this all together. That's pretty much all we need in here. Might just add just a little bit more cranberries. Like I said, he'll pick them out, so. Oh, that's so beautiful, y'all. Alright, now we'll go get our dressing and be right back. We're going to mix our dressing up really good once more. Make sure everything's incorporated. And we're going to pour this. And you don't have to use all of it if you don't want to. Go based by your discretion. This is good enough. I used half of it, and the other half I'll be putting up for another mess of this. Now, we're going to give this a try, y'all, and see how this tastes. And our green beans are just about done, so we can plate our meal. Okay, y'all, so I'm going to get a little bite of everything as much as I possibly can. Remember, now, this is homemade farro that I had done with fresh whole wheat. So, if I can keep it on my spoon without dumping it. Y'all, that salad is absolutely amazing. You have that earthy texture, or the flavorings of that curry mixed with the sweetness of that white wine vinegar, and then you add the earthy flavors of parsley, the onions, and then kick it with a little bit of cranberries and that crunch of the texture from the farro and the nuts. You've got this amazing balance in your mouth that screams fall. This is truly a delicious side. I can literally see this used even on a holiday table with a beautiful turkey, a roasted chicken, maybe even some Cornish hens, a beautiful roast at this point, like a basically any type of roast, really. This is amazing, y'all. This is so delicious. A beautiful salmon. Oh my gosh, yes. This is truly amazing. Now, one other thing I could say about this, if you wanted to do an all-natural sweetener and not do, no, I didn't use that simply because I knew I was going to put cranberries in here. But you may be different from us. So what I would do if it were me, instead of using granulated sugar or sugar sub, well, if you're diabetic, don't do this. But if you are not, instead of using granulated sugar, this would be amazing with honey, just to say, even a little bit of maple syrup. So this, y'all, is an amazing dish. Not sorry I made this. Okay, y'all, so now we are going to plate up our plate for supper tonight, and I'll show you what I've got. We're going to take our farro over here, our green beans, and I love that this is homegrown and home canned. So, and I can add my own seasonings to it. Now, I'll probably be adding a citrusy type of seasoning, Mediterranean seasoning. And then we're going to add some of these shrimp balls to this. Get that back over there. And then I will give you a close-up of what this looks like. There we have it, y'all. There is our supper for tonight. A beautiful Mediterranean dish that is very healthy for us and won't cause bloating and all of this. I love the fact that if I don't have too much fiber in here, that farro is going to do it because it is a whole grain and it has everything inside of it. Y'all, this dinner to me, this supper, just screams wholesome, and I really can't wait to get into this. Now, you can serve this shrimp meatballs or the shrimp kofta with tzatziki sauce or any kind of maybe a garlic aioli. And I am actually just going to sprinkle mine, as you've seen, with some lemon. So that's it, y'all. I hope that you enjoyed this segment of being in the kitchen with me. This is my everyday life. This is reality. So I hope you enjoyed this. Again, both the farro salad and the shrimp kofta recipes will be in the description box below. I love you, and I want to make sure that you have amazing meals on your table too. So until next time, mwah! Much love from Parton's Mediterranean Homestead.